pull that back up.
This
So
is
that's
Armand's
like,
standard extended Italian grip.
that would be
It looks like it's a little further back down than when you're holding it. Yeah.
like that maybe?
Yeah, I think that's right. Does it feel good to pronate from there? The pronate and supinate?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't like really palm down like they're holding their sword.
Mm-hmm.
I always generally like palm up. So if you're thinking about it, like I like being in four more than I like being in two.
Yeah.
But I don't. This is not
That's like
that
that.
dissimilar to how I hold my sword.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's somewhere between
So it's
second and third knuckle, like the fingertip knuckle.
yeah,
That's
because it's
helpful.
like these are down here, and then this is almost just like you see, there's like a little bit, yeah, like a little pinch.
Yeah, a slight bit of pinch.
Because it doesn't look super tight there. It looks a
Yeah, it
little
looks
like
relaxed.
loosey.
It's like almost the point. You know what I mean? Like the laser
Yeah.
pointer that people do.
Yeah, their finger is more extended down the ricasso.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right. Next one from Armand. We have a basic Spanish grip. It's the pinching the ricasso between thumb and index finger on the same side. Distance is not as good as Italian, but not too bad. Maneuverability is good. Point control is good. Very low effort since you can rest the pommel against your wrist. Okay. Downside, it's very weak for holding a line compared to other grips. So pinching the ricasso between thumb and index on the same side.
But the thumb and forefinger are on different sides, right? Like,
Oh, I don't dislike this.
I don't like it
I'm
at all personally, but
I don't hate it.
Yeah. So I see what he
I
means
don't
about
like
the
it.
letting it rest against your palm there. Like looking at your Slav, the way you're
hmm
holding it. Like that pommel looks like you if you're pronated or mostly pronated.
Cause yeah, just
that
kind of
is
because
true.
your finger, like your index, just kind of, or your trigger finger, just kind of hooks it a little bit, and so then your thumb's there, and it kind of just hangs out.
It also makes a lot of sense as far as the you just don't have great
Trying
4 and 2, right? That sort of
to move
pairing.
my giant thing of cheese balls. I'm trying to like think of this if I'm at more of that because it's more of the Spanish grip. So if I'm more at that like extension, right?
Yeah.
Because you'd want
Yeah,
to be sitting here for a period of time,
that actually would make more sense.
and then have a lot of, and you have a lot of the disengage, right? With you have a lot of that wrist
That
disengage
quick, yeah. Even though it's against the
because you
flat,
have the
the
arm
leverage is
and then
there.
wrist.
Next, a modified saber grip. Pinching ricasso between index finger and the thumb. Distance is poor. Maneuverability is okay. Point control is good. High effort as you need a grip around the Keon block. Advantage is substantial power and speed on your cuts. I'll use this if I really got to bully through someone's guard, cut in for line, or deliver a devastating beat. Then switch grips.
I, oh boy, oh beans.
All right, that
Pinching
makes sense, I
ricasso
guess.
between index finger and thumb. And it looks like the back three are gripped at the handle.
I don't almost ever have my hand like I don't like my hand so far forward on
So
the grip. I like my hand
if
back, like here.
so, if I were thinking of modified saber, it would not be thumb on that side there. It would be thumb up here
Okay.
or thumb up top, and then that there would
Yeah.
be more of that saber grip, right? Almost like. Actually, wait. Let me think about it. As I'm looking at this picture, it actually makes more sense if I'm thinking of it from a sort of an Olympic saber grip.
Do you think it is better for cuts, like from your you cutting with the? I mean, the blade's not made for
I
cutting.
would not like this for me for doing cuts.
Yeah.
I would want to have the thumb more up here,
Okay,
right?
on the edge there. Yeah, yeah.
To then basically then have more direction and then also have it where that basically is then that is pointing where my cut is happening, like an actual saber grip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in that, then see that thumb is then more that up here, right?
Right. You're right. To help edge a line for the.
And then so this is effectively then almost like
It's
that
like
is
doing that, but with
kind.
more pinch power to drive the force from the looks of it.
Yeah.
It looks
I
exhausting, honestly.
I do
Yes, that's the thing. It looks like my finger would hurt.
Yeah.
I do hold my my heavy sword. Like if you imagine this is this heavy stick, I do pinch it like that with my in my basket hilt.
You don't have your heavy stick like 2 feet away?
No, I keep everything in my car because I use it
Oh
so
yeah, I
much.
forgot. Everything's in the car.
This is my melee sword that's just out of the car, partially because my car's in the shop, and so I've been
All
using
right.
my parents' car. But
Um, I'm going to plug in my headphones because it started raining here and I can't hear shit. 1 second.
Quick, we can say whatever we
having
want, but we won't know.
some rainy difficulties.
Ooh, these next two from Armand.
How many fucking clips that are
I think
things that
I
are
think it dropped
on?
5.
Two more.
Yeah, two more.
Two
I
more.
really
These
like them.
next ones are The fifth one, the fifth one is like wild.
This one I used for a long time as well. He calls it the
This-
pointer
yeah.
or the O4 special grip. You're sacrificing a lot of advantages of other grips for point control, but it does hold the line quite well.
Is it 2 fingers over and 1 down the
So
ricotta?
so it's one over, right? And the other one is basically then pointing at, is sitting effectively at the like bottom of the inside of your guard,
Yeah.
right?
I don't mind this too much. I don't like having my finger. I don't like having my hand. Like I said, I don't like having my hand so far up on the sword. I like my hand usually farther back. But this is not bad, and I think this is a good compromise. Gives you strength
Yeah,
in
that
your
middle finger
motion,
strength.
and then still pretty good accuracy from your point because you're using the pointer finger to
Yeah.
aim your shot.
This is pretty common from what I've seen.
Yeah, I think a lot of very good fencers use something a variation on this.
For me though, it ends up being it's like all that weight sits on this finger.
Yeah.
Like all of your sword weight is sitting on your like what is it? Your second finger to your index finger?
Yeah,
No,
your middle finger.
middle finger.
Yep.
Middle finger.
You're like all that weight sitting on your middle finger is one of my
Yeah.
things. The only thing with it.
The thing that I worry about is the pointer getting jammed as you
Oh, yeah.
slam into
Yes.
someone else's guard.
Because someone smashes it and just
Uh-huh.
Or
Or
you
you
hit
throw.
someone.
Yeah, you throw and you hit
Mhm.
their guard real
I've
hard.
definitely stubbed my finger in my own guard before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's interesting is my dad did something similar to this, but he actually he fenced both fingers forward
Oh.
like this.
That's-
Yes.
That's real weird.
It's the
Oh yeah, it's fucking
I feel-
wild. So it has
I feel
so it's
really uncomfortable.
thumb
on
is
my
here, thumb
back.
is here,
Uh-huh.
2 fingers here, both fingers up top.
It feels
So
really
it's-
uncomfortable on the ring finger.
Oh, it
really
feels
pinky
awful for me. Because it is almost like it's almost like you're holding one of the modern pistol grip
Mm-hmm.
finger.
guards. It's a little like that, and so yeah, he fences like this, and I don't understand it. But yeah,
That's weird. Your dad's
oh I
weird.
hate. Oh yeah, 100%. He's a mod, so he's got that going for him. But I don't know how the hell he holds a sword like that. And he uses those old Darkwood Poppenheimers that weigh like our
Oh.
monster trucks.
He's also kind of a giant, so
Yes, he's also a little bit shorter than me, but like stronger. This last one though.
Honestly, I don't know what to call this. With a closed guard, pushes it back. With a closed guard, it pushes the back of my hand into the guard, creating an almost solid line down the forearm. Creates the most solid false edge line possible. User beware, as this also puts a lot of pressure on your pommel and tang. Broke more than
Is
a
he
few
putting
tangs this way.
he's putting his thumb against the quillion.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
That's the part that's weird.
This is very similar to what you were just talking about, Slav.
I know, yeah, it's not dissimilar to that. It's just that then it's effectively that same thing because if you look, the middle finger's not really gripped, is what he's saying. What creates
I don't like this either.
because yeah, but then it's basically where okay, I see. I think I see it. I think it's that so you're pushing with your thumb, and then your middle finger is gripping,
Mm-hmm.
and then and then your pointer finger is just sitting there.
Okay, so it's just the thumb to middle, that forward back
I think
pressure.
yeah, I think it's basically like this, where it's the thumb and that middle are what's actively doing the holding.
Okay. Yep.
That's what it feels like.
It's
And he
weird.
says it's super situational. Like if I've boxed my way into a positive situation, then I need to maintain pressure on my opponent out at the foible so they can't disengage until I've closed. So it looks like it's hard control.
Pommels and tangs get fucked up with this is the only thing I'm wondering.
Yeah, he was saying as much about exploding the tang.
I couldn't hold this, but it's not horrendous. It's like it's not uncomfortable because the thumb helps with that pulling the pressure off of the middle finger, I think.
Yeah,
It's still wild.
seems awkward.
We have another one here.
Yeah, Mateo's just makes sense.
There's just 2 fingers over, right?
Yep.
2 over and then 1 over.
And then
2 fingers over cross, palm over grip. There's his thumb, and his thumb is kind of on top.
This is
but not
like probably
finger.
one of the most standard grips.
that's basically what I do. The double
Yeah.
trigger.
2 fingers over, thumb just a long line.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
my
fitting.
I think my thumb shape is such that I put it a little over my index finger, as opposed to like
Yeah,
down,
I think
you can-
down across.
So if your thumb more down,
Yeah,
One,
it's
two,
down.
three.
like
Yep.
yeah, like that
Mhm.
rather than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because on the first one 2 over in grip, and looks like both fingers are gripping, and then the second one that's 1 finger over, and thumb on the side. Oh, there's my
Or
hand.
is that you?
Yeah, that's mine.
Oh,
That's
okay.
me.
You. This is how you hold your grip. Is
Yeah, I
this
had to
your
wear a glove to actually like physically feel how to do it.
okay? Is that thumb intentionally under the index over the middle?
So then for mine, right? So it's basically where this sits on top of here,
Mm-hmm.
and then finger is just kind of a little bit here, but not. You're not. I'm not gripping like that, right?
Okay.
Because I don't. I'm not. I can't maintain that grip pressure. But then effectively where it sort of those sit here, this sits here, and then paw, and then this all kind of sits a little bit up against wrist,
Yep. Yep. I'm noticing a
and
lot of
then sort
people
of
do
that
that.
pulls that weight.
Mm-hmm.
And so then this way, all of the weight ends up on the back two fingers rather than. So then it sort of activates. It does so instead of where it's more forward and activates like the higher tendons or whatever. It pulls back, and so it doesn't like activate all of the tendons in my arm, basically, if that makes sense from like a body standpoint
Yep.
or whatever.
John, if you were to give Slav's grip a tier, what would you give?
It's
Tier.
probably, I personally don't like it, but it's probably an A or S tier grip.
Okay.
It's just
You can
like
answer
I think
whatever
it's
you want.
fundamentally sound, and I think the two fingers over, a lot of people like that,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's good. And I think that makes sense having the longer, like their blade, their grip is a little longer, being able to tuck that into the arm a little bit. It totally makes sense.
This also makes a lot of sense as to why you were talking about liking my extended handle.
Yeah.
Like that tracks. That all tracks.
hmm And then, yeah, I think one of the big ones with the two fingers over is some people two fingers over, they're gripping with both, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sort of with both, is mine is only gripping with the middle finger.
Okay.
The top finger basically doesn't quite do that straight up sit, but it kind of just sort of like floats here a little bit.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
that makes
Okay.
So then this one is basically here where I effectively have two, right? So my starting one is kind of not remotely correct. Is as way back as possible and sitting here, right? Because if I'm starting in a thing, then I want to effectively be in long point, right? So then I'm as far back as I possibly can be. I'm effectively in a holding it as if I were effectively fencing,
Yeah, a fencing grip. Yeah. Okay.
right? And then as soon as it gets into then something where it is then boop 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 boop, and then cut transition to then basically then pull forward. This shifts forward to that. So then if I'm doing actual cut stuff, then it is just sort of the standard saber grip.
For the
And
standard
if it gets
saber
really
grip.
fucking wild, then it goes into that.
Okay. So a question, and this is, pardon my ignorance. I really don't know much about saber. What is the advantage of the thumb along the back edge of the handle?
So your thumb is effectively what is basically pointing at what you're doing, right? And so then,
okay.
because if I'm here, right, is that it's sort of it's that moves around and then it's sort of chop up and down where I want to be. Your thumb is pointing where you're going, and you kind of want to be down, but you don't want to be that like hammer grip like that, right?
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So you want to be slightly pointed forward, because then it's effectively your guard is effectively like this, right? Whereas if you're hammer grip and you're like that, you have to then to get in that same position, your wrist has to be down, which then opens up your wrist, right?
Okay.
Versus where now
Got it.
I'm up here,
Cool. That helps a lot. Thank you.
and then that points where I'm going.
Yep. Yeah, it points the edge, the true edge.
hmm
That's cool.
there was one time where I was fighting heavy and I did that kind of sabery grip like this,
Uh-huh.
and then someone threw a shot and I blocked it with my hand and smashed my thumb into the back of my basket hilt, and I was like, well, never doing that again.
That's
You
what
learn.
that's what Kato does for some of his heavy.
Saber
Sometimes
grip?
he'll have the thumb up like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tempting to do it because I feel like it gives me good control of the point and stuff, but then when you go to the block, it just, like I said, destroyed my thumb. That one.
Mashes you.
I fight saber like I do armored, which is like just I hold the stick, I bash you with stick.
So you're basically then
That's
just pretty
yep,
much
I'm
just
that.
up here, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, which is the whole thing of where it's effective. And so at that point, right, you are like you would be in an arming sword grip, right? Because like an arming sword is you're really just here, you're just hammer grip, right?
Mhm.
Which is the whole thing is which is just as it's just as it's viable in a different way. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it works just
Right.
as well, but you are just mechanically going to be doing things slightly different, right? Like you're going to be then rather than less point forwards,
Yeah.
more
Block and
blade
cuts.
forwards.
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely fight saber either like I just fence with it only and do what you were doing earlier, which is on the
Mhm.
back end, point forward, or just do the the hard block
Which of
left and
the
right.
which for a lot of HEMA stuff, if I'm doing side sword, because I use that for side sword stuff, a lot of that is where if they're at that like C range, as you would say for heavy,
Hmm.
or anything else, right? It's basically me doing that like I'm just trying to go for those effectively long point bips, and then as they get closer, it transitions more into oh fuck, I have to actually do like cuts.
That makes sense.
Ubi, when you're saying saber, do you mean single sword heavy?
No, no, I literally mean saber. I
Oh,
fought
okay.
a saber a couple of times at King's Cup.
Saber is a like metal doing like proper like military saber, whatever,
Hmm.
like period saber fitting. It's definitely something I want to do more of.
Yeah, it's a lot
Oh,
of
it's
fun.
fun as hell.
I wanted to
I've done it once
buy.
and I liked it a lot.
I wanted to buy like a steel saber that they had it. Someone had it for sale over there, and I almost bought it on the spot.
Get one of the ones that are like get the heavier of the two dueling saber ones they have.
Okay.
Would be my recommendation for doing any kind of that like classical or military saber, because
Yeah.
the bigger ones they're like too choppy, and most people don't have the bigger ones as well.
Okay.
I kind of want to buy, not that I can afford this right now, but I kind of want to buy two of them, and then that way I can get people to fight me with them. Like,
That's the other one is you get one big one small one.
what if I want to match that and be like, hey, want to fight Saber? And be like, here's the Saber, we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
fight.
All right. This is Enmars, a modified Spanish.
So this is pretty similar to,
It's Armand's pinch grip,
yeah.
where it like
It's two over.
it looks like a little
It's
bit more
two.
pressure with the index, as opposed to Armand being like more middle finger and relaxed.
Yeah, because it's like two over. The thumb is kind of sitting on like the back edge, right?
Yep.
Or is that or sort of a little bit? Yeah. Okay.
I
Yeah.
think it's
I
mostly
don't.
back
Yeah.
edge. Yeah, it makes sense.
It's yeah. Yeah. It's basically like the two finger over, but like that more extended out. Which is that whole thing of where which is that whole thing for a lot of the Spanish ones, like classically, is that you are doing much more. You're doing much more disengaged. You're doing much more that like that very long extended, effectively way more disengaged cavazione, etc., etc.
Right. Yep.
So you have a lot of that all the time. So having that more tip control versus having that more like I guess because yeah, that makes sense, right? Having that where I want that finer tip control versus here where it's not going to be as tight,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
you
The
know,
very fine tip control. Yeah. And then
which
pushing
makes
forward.
sense.
I think you can also break your wrist more easily into all of the directions you need to, because a lot of that
Yeah.
style is built on like you bring your tip online and then you break
Oh, Pug
your
says
wrist.
next two photos show thumb better also.
Oh, thank you.
We need to see that thumb.
Okay, it's a little bit more on the side.
There we go. Give me that thumb view.
Thumb cam. Interesting.
Oh, that's like up there though on
Yeah,
the
It's
it's
finger.
interesting how
That's
close
up there.
he's holding his whole hand is so close to the end, like to the edge of his guard.
Yeah.
Wait, what is the third picture? Okay.
All right, third picture's here.
Two
That's
finger
very
over.
very different than how I do it.
Oh, yeah, it's way up there. It's not dissimilar to mine, right?
No.
In terms of where the three fingers are in the like the middle and index finger, except the thumb. Oh, except the thumb's on the opposite side. That's okay. Now I see. Because the thumb is on the right side of
Wait,
the
is it?
Keon.
Hold on.
Look. Yeah. See.
Oh,
That's that's
that's
the
oh,
okay. That's
I didn't
that's
realize that.
yes.
Oh,
That's
that
the key.
explains some things how Enmar fights actually.
Well, when you
Holy
feel the balance,
shit.
yeah. To me, it allows you to right. Yeah, exactly. What you're doing was that like that break in your
Oh
wrist
my
to be able to
god.
punch your vertical
It
keons.
feels. I still think it feels really uncomfortable in my ring finger, like when where the quillion kind of pushes.
Oh, upward, yeah.
Yeah, to me that doesn't.
Don't.
But you're also like you're right now. Your blade's very vertical. If you pointed it
Yeah,
forward, it would
that's
be
true.
less.
Yeah, gotta be. Come on, John. Like you're fighting.
The sword is too long in this space I'm in right now.
Just fucking hitting the wall.
I like how that sudden realization of oh wait the thumb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thumb over versus thumb under is a big deal, right? That's in this case.
This changes
Yeah,
everything.
that's cool.
interesting.
I like this because it really does create a baseline for how other people fight.
Because then you get that, and then the grip is so short along with it
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Grip
then you
is
can really wrist move around.
yeah. Your grip is so personal. I feel like one of the most personal parts of your fight. I think.
Oh,
Who is
here's
this?
Kato.
Is that
This
case?
is
Oh,
Kato?
okay.
Kato,
This is
Yeah, which-
pretty much how I hold my sword.
which is no finger over.
Yeah, I go back, kind of thumb lined up. I tend to stick my finger out a little more on the down the ricasso, but that kind of moves in and out. And I'll take a bigger, depending on what's going on, I will sometimes choke back up on it, or then kind of go back. But I'm also short, and so I want to, the extra like 2 inches you get from having your hand farther back makes a big difference for me.
Okay.
And I find that it's very accurate because I'm basically, even though this finger, my pointer finger isn't pointing down the ricotta necessarily, depending, like sometimes it points, sometimes it curls.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, I find that I can still kind of steer with my just point where I want to
Oh,
go.
You're
okay.
in line with the forearm, right? Ultimately, like when you're pointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look at this on the second picture, right?
Okay.
So he says that pinching, so he's in guard position, pinching the key on block keeps the sword as so that means actually so he's pinching not pinching the actual like the blade at all, but it's actually where the line of the keons
Ah.
is where he is pinching at and holding it from.
That seems like a ton of like
Oh,
handwork.
Well,
I'm not
he's
doing
got
it.
I
I'm
mean he's got some big honking arms and so I
I'm
mean
just letting the weapon rest with these 3 fingers,
Oh, you're letting it
and I'm just
fall
letting
and counter.
and I'm just
Okay.
letting it. And I'm since I'm usually in like between 3 and 4, kind of this halfway. I'm just literally just like it's
yeah,
almost
so
like it's
then like
resting in my palm of my hand. Is the way I
Mm.
think about it.
yeah, so then if it's like from the side, yeah, so like if he's sitting there on the side like that, right? Like if I move my thumb, like when he's in that like 4, it's effectively just sitting here and the weight is sitting on that
Yeah,
finger, I think, right? Which
but I
doesn't
don't
actually
need. But I
doesn't feel
don't
bad,
need these. Like I'm not using my thumb and forefinger very much. It's really just being supported with these fingers back here.
right? Because this is here and then you add that there and then in guard.
In guard, that like in the 3, that pinch looks like it's work.
Oh, oh my wrist.
Yeah,
But it's
exactly.
very yeah. Kato's is similar to my grip, but there's like a couple. There's like a little subtle difference.
Interesting.
Fascinating. I love it. That gives a good
That
insight
one's
into the what you can and cannot do off that grip.
So yeah, that one especially. That one takes some like hand strength, especially. Wow, my hand hurts from all those beats.
We have another grip. This looks like a double trigger.
This looks pretty much the same as some of the ones we've looked at.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, like
basically
it's
how I
another
hold my
two
sword.
over.
Is this one?
Yeah, and then that one he has it where it's the trigger finger is like tight
Yep.
and not like floating. The second one is not dissimilar to how I describe my dad's really type thing.
Yeah. The almost double finger. I think I can't see the other side right where the middle finger is because it could be like
Yeah,
Armand's where it's like the
yeah.
curled middle, pointed index.
Mess it up. Yeah, and then it messed up my shot was if I jam my finger into my guard. Yeah, so I think he must be one over if he's his finger, but yeah.
That's my guess.
So it's
Yep.
probably the one finger over, yeah.
Instead of the double, yeah. In which case you would jam
And
the
way
middle finger.
back. Just still it's all those like put so much weight on that like on those first two fingers, for but again, that's such a personal thing. Like I want as much weight back as possible.
Teach someone.
I would say, oh, he's okay. Second poster in different order. Oh, he's doing the Guy Windsor
He's doing
one.
Guy Windsor. I've not seen this one. I've not seen his book, Guy Windsor's, but
Yeah,
interesting.
which
There's
is
several
just the,
books.
which is yeah, which or the standard, which is the one finger over, and then you're basically doing that. These two fingers pinch,
Yep. The pinch.
right?
The index thumb pinch.
So you're basically like, is that they're not quite like pinch, but they're sort of above like that. So you see how this is here and the thumb is up.
One of the interesting things is in this grip, right? This Guy Windsor grip. In my head, that thumb, uh, like in function, just doesn't pinch until absolutely necessary. Because you can position that pommel to rest against your forearm, essentially.
Yeah, because you can do that like this,
Yep.
where I'm sitting here
Yep. You chill.
and it's sort of just the weight, and then now when I'm in an actual position, then the thumb moves in.
Right. Exactly. Because that's basically how I fight as well, but with the double trigger instead of single trigger.
Rowan.
Is Rowan's? Yeah, Rowan's. Okay.
Rowan's is another one that hurts my hand.
I usually point down the ricasso, holding my sword loose. It helps me point wherever I want my tip to go. Keeps me from over gripping. Okay, so this
Rose is
is
probably
back,
pretty similar to mine too.
but nothing over the cross.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the part that's really interesting for me.
Yep.
Is that it's so far back and no cross whatsoever.
Yeah, this is definitely like another point and click kind of.
Well, and it's one of the things to remember. So they have an elite blade as well. So then there's very little front weight, right? And then look at their and then I think that pommel, that's one of the, I think I have that pommel somewhere, because like I think that's one of the more like it's a pretty beefy
The
pommel
chunkier
on the
one?
back,
Okay.
right?
So this is super
Wait, is
back
Rowan?
weighted.
I need to ask Rowan if her sword is back weighted or not.
I mean the Elite 45, right? Is the blade
Yeah,
itself is definitely back weighted. That's what I use as
yeah,
well.
like that blade weighs less than this standard 42 does
Yeah.
overall, and is like way back.
The way that they point makes a lot of sense for the way they fight in terms of the
Yeah,
mechanics of the sword, because there's no strength in that true false edge battle with somebody else.
because
Yeah,
I'm
Rowan's
basically
sword presence is not great, but her
yeah.
accuracy and range and speed are very good.
I
Because
think
you're basically okay, yeah. Because you're so the pad of the hand is on the pommel basically,
Yeah.
which then also okay, yeah. So then I'm literally yeah. So it's literally just point and click
point
where
and
you
click.
want to
Yep, that's
go.
it.
Yeah.
The
This is
laser
pretty
pointer.
similar to what I'm doing. I just don't point my finger as much. Sometimes I bring my finger back.
But then yeah, but then their hand is even farther back than how yours is
Yeah,
though.
yours is further up, relatively.
Yeah, like pull like that. Yeah, so you got to get like that, like get the pommel where it's like almost to your wrist, basically.
Yeah.
So something
I should have actually got this. Is not my normal sword, but
to practice here is the glide. Like when Rowan throws, I think I can glide their sword maybe out of their hand. The question is, can I time it?
Or say, it's a
I
kink
think
in their
that's what
blade.
Miles does when he fights her.
Yeah, it's just blunk.
He just beats the
A
shit out of
beat
her
as opposed to
sword.
yeah. I want
Which
With
I
his
think
bead
is
or
what
whatever. He dominates her sword either with with like a glissade or like a
yeah.
bead or whatever.
because I think it's what I've done a lot when we get into those is I'm able to then sort of overpower, like push through, basically, right?
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Just in the sense of going where is it if we're both in a position of I'm on top or something, I can then just push through and just push all the way straight across, right?
After looking through it, it makes me feel like what you guys are saying is very true. It is just deeply personal and just preferential.
Yep.
Yeah, and especially where like all of the versions that people are able to do successful things with them, right? Um, and it's just be that wildly different ways of doing it, like especially like comparing like Rowan's to Kato's,
Right.
where Rowan's is so just finger forward, holding it way back. It's all point and click, and Kato is like death gripping basically the key on block and
Yep.
not even a finger over at all,
The super pinch.
right? So then it's sort of thing of where he's able to get um, way more actual like uh, cut power or just the ability just to push down way more than Rowan would have, right?
Mm-hmm. That's
I don't,
it.
not to the same extent that Armand does, but I definitely switch up my grip depending on what I'm doing, and I grip my sword differently for single versus sword and dagger, and even sometimes change it depending on the action I'm about to do in any given moment.
Trying to think, do I do that?
I do the
Now
exact
you're making me
opposite.
think.
I refuse. I keep my grip and I fight the whole time.
You give the grip exactly the same way every
Yeah.
time for any.
Uh-huh. I used to change, and now I feel like it's not part of the game I want to cultivate. Do you switch yet?
I think my switching actually ends up being depending on the point of where when it gets to like how my arm is feeling after a certain point.
Oh, you
Like
switch
I
to like
have it's
rest.
that whole thing of where it's yeah, like if I'm like so like at the beginning of the day for most of it I will be in the normal two finger over like that, and then eventually that as things get more tired, now I'm one over. And then if I'm
Oh,
like really fucking tired, then it is effectively just saber gripping the sword itself.
okay.
Because at that point then like because basically where it's if my actual like arm and elbow like starts to like the arthritis starts to act up right really bad throughout the day, because then if I just am effectively hammer gripping the sword
Mm-hmm.
for dear life.
You make that saber grip thumb look very natural, like it's just like a built-in part of your movement.
Yeah, and the one thing is even it's the whole thing with it is that it does give you that very like the tip just goes where you want tip to go. But it's definitely at the beginning of the day is here.
Yeah, you're beginning of days where I just stay, and then when I get tired, I basically loosen everything and just let that grip hinge on the middle of my forearm.
And just fully
I
just
just like
oh yeah
hang
just
out
like
because it's
fully
low guard in 3 if you can picture it. Like,
Oh yeah, because even then you're way the fuck down
yeah, it
here.
literally just hangs. It doesn't. I don't grip anything. It can just be there. If you can picture it, like you could hold that for roughly forever, which is part of why I think a part of why I'm attracted to that particular style. It's
Hmm.
pretty relatively pretty lazy for a guard.
Especially where you can see it as soon as you move out of active like engagement range, then you can see that where your tip will drop and you
Mm-hmm.
can sort of your actual like arm does that little bit of
Yep.
extra like you can see basically everything ungrip
Yep.
the
All the
moment
tension
you
is
come in,
gone.
and then as soon as you walk back in it then suddenly then it pops up that little bit and
Yep.
has that extra grip back.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. I think the only change is exactly that. Like you're saying, the resting. That was
I'm like
good.
yeah,
I
I was like
like that.
thinking about
Good segment.